to.
Okay, so.
Is this on the main
Oh
or is
yeah, we're
this
doing
on
this on
the?
the main. We're
Okay,
absolutely doing this on
that's
the
fine
main.
with me. I'm
Okay.
still waiting for the notification.
Sub and resub. Shit, I'm told that supposedly works.
Okay.
Let's see. Bump. Deku's creepy ass. Fucking hell. Copy.
Yeah, it's I'm subbed. Okay, I'll unsub and then
Yeah.
resub and then hit the bell. Like I have it set for all notifications on your channel. I don't know what the fuck is up with that.
Alright. Get rid of all these extra things. Bump. So we'll wait a little bit for people to pour in here. You were talking about how we're doing this to make fun. I'm doing it to get to the bottom of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ed, if I had to bring this up here too, for example, and which is why I'm glad it happened. I could see why Miggs was less than happy. You remember when we addressed the person that Miggs and Xanadu both accused of being a pedophile, zoophile, or zoo sadist, right?
Psychopath too,
Yeah,
I
all
believe.
kinds of crazy shit. They came
Hmm.
on, they said all that shit was ancient past from like fucking 9 to 10 years ago. They said they had gotten
Yeah, and I
therapy. And I was like, I'm not prepared to write somebody off from shit that far off, and especially when they seem to address these things and some of the facts seem to have been skewed. I'm sure fucking Vito would have handled that entirely different. I think that girl would have been entirely fucked going on his show. But I came forward. That person, I forget their name, managed to address things. When I came on to talk to Draco Nightblaze, I was fully prepared to let him make an explanation. If there
yeah.
was some misunderstanding, okay, so from what I'm seeing from these screenshots, he's certainly being a deadbeat. He's certainly being disgusting and creepy, but I'm not. I didn't have him on to railroad him. I didn't specifically have him on to make fun. The closest to a railroading, which again isn't my fault, uh, is Lou. All the facts just entirely buried Lou. We didn't play with anything to make it look worse than it already was when Lou the kitty stance. And when we're talking about this new kid, Deku, um, I'm prepared to have him come on, have a discussion. I had it as I understood. I'd heard he was 16. Someone else who was a friend of another friend who didn't want to be involved in this said that he's 17. I'm like, okay, 16, 17. I was prepared to maybe have this guy explain his situation since I didn't want to write somebody off so young in life and have them labeled as a pedophile. They seem to understand. Like when I talked to you a minute ago about fucking Snake Thing, what they're doing is entirely wrong. And at that age, if they can stop doing what they're doing and stop trying to like be wishy-washy about it, where this Deku kid seems like it's wrong, but I feel like he's kind of almost like seeing if he can find people that can accept him maybe on the side while saying it's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. What I'm trying to expound upon this, Anthony, is that between the time of your stream and the time of Lily's video, there was no genuine confirmation of Draco's age. And as soon as he said, "Oh yeah, I'm 20," and then admitted, "Yes, I did send explicitly sexual images to a minor," it was definitely a very one-sided thing. I'm not saying that you were just doing it for entertainment. I'm saying that that's a secondary
Well,
value.
you did say,
It's as
yeah,
soon as it comes
yeah.
to the point where it's an unarguable stance that it's like it is undeniable
Like,
that this person did these
yeah,
actions. It's like if you were to come to me, Anthony,
well, you were
and say
saying that. Well, hold on,
we
hold on. I need to address this now because you're like we were doing this for entertainment values. While that stream certainly does get hot, though the one where things get hot and heated,
it was a very good time.
I I'd lost control of the situation. Bernie Inspector is screaming for him to be doxxed and call. I was very furious and not really thinking with my head, and it's probably not the kind of stream I would want to do all the time. Certainly, it's not like occasionally there's situations where in Lou's case, but that's not the gold standard I'm looking for. If we could get in, nail the person and get out as carefree as possible and get that wrapped up in 10 minutes, and then I could move on to something else, I'd take that. I'd absolutely, but these people are, things get messy, things get kind of complicated. I I didn't go into the not the Deco, the Draco Nightblaze stream expecting anything. I just wanted to hear their side of the story.
Yeah,
In Lou's case, I was like, okay, so I know everything that they've told me. They're gonna have to walk back a lot of they're gonna have to do a lot of fanatically amazing god tier gymnastics to unwalk all the bullshit that they've told me.
yeah,
Which
that's because Meat Man and the other people, who have collected and collaborated and gotten what they need for that video, went out of their way to get a confession, get information, and that's very hard to dispute. I'm saying the difference between the instance I brought up to you previously and Draco is that we're labeling someone based on their actions. We don't give a shit about their intentions. I mean, have you ever uh, heard Leo say like, yeah, that's really sad, man. I should take back what I said about you being a pedophile because that's so sad and so tragic that you're in such a dark place. We don't give a shit about that. We find that shit funny and pathetic,
well, no,
like right or
oh,
wrong.
hold it. You used the most pitiless man in our group as the complete standard of the group. I'm
Well, do
not
you give a
saying
shit about a pedophile's intentions?
typically they're all assholes, but
Yeah,
you're
so do
yeah
you
no
give a shit?
hold it. Again, not all these cases are entirely the same. You're kind of putting out a blanket statement where you're like, well, you better agree with Leo. One, suck my dick. Two, if the ages were close enough, for example, when I first heard about Grizzly the Medic and the ages were 20 to 16, I'm like, well, in some states that's kind of, kosher, so to speak, and I was like waiting to hear, and thankfully, or I guess, or unthankfully, depending on your viewpoint, he was going after, what, a 14, 15-year-old was the next thing that Jace found?
Mm.
Yeah, so I've noticed that you keep trying to lump in other people's perspectives as the most harshest and say that's how we feel, and I'm like, no, I handle them
Well,
on a case by case basis, and I try to
yeah,
handle them very
that's
seriously.
that's
And yeah, in Deku's case, um, as I understood it, and I could be wrong, that Deku was 16. He could be a really dumb kid who doesn't entirely understand what identifying as a minor attracted person really means. Oh, actually, while I'm at it, let me switch the tags here since I threw this up as fast as possible.
I would go on the grounds to say that he identifies as a particular category of map, as in he, like I told you before the stream started, he's non-contact, which I said before. I don't really myself personally don't know the full grounds of which it implies, but it means that he is actively trying to avoid physical sexual contact with someone underage, which I find weird. That if he is 16, it's like, okay, so that just sounds like you're a normal kid, you know,
Yeah.
looking for a sexual partner within your general 4-year age range. I don't even, does it say on his profile what country he's from? I don't think it did.
Well, here, let me go back to the front here. Deku, male, no map, anti-contact, non-exclusive. Says chronic dumbass, spooky time. It doesn't say their country to the best of my knowledge. Um,
Okay. I mean, personally, I'd say it doesn't.
yeah.
It matters on their legal perspective, but on the internet, it's always 18. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, if you're in the same state. Um,
Sure. I
hey,
guess.
look, I've gone at a lot of people, and I've been as bloodthirsty as the next guy when I really don't like the motherfucker. But in Draco's case, when I didn't know who the fuck he was, I didn't just sit there and start sharpening my axe and going, well, I'm going to split into him. Like, I'd never met the asshole. I was like, maybe he just got railroaded because he pissed off the wrong Tumblr people, which there's that, but no, he also is a predator. And that's why I'm going after him, and he's continued to be a predator. And yes, did he piss off the wrong Tumblr people? Absolutely. But those people don't need to put up with Draco. Nobody does. Absolutely not.
I
Um,
actually I actually finished sweeping through Alcor's server, Anthony, on his NSFW chat.
yeah.
You know, just filtering like Draco's name and his NSFW chat. There's 97 fucking pages
Of things that are inappropriate or what.
of things that he said in the NSFW chat, images he's posted. I haven't I've seen every image he's posted, and there is some fair share of full con. Um,
Yeah,
I know he's still in there.
yeah. I still intend to covering the Alicor thing. I woke up today and I was starting to fucking work on. There's a pro fighter or retired fighter by the name of Chael Sonnen, and I wanted to come in. He had this wonderful perspective on someone asked about delusion, and he was like, "Is it really suffering from delusion?" And it inspired me to really come up with I came up with two separate videos. One was about Mundane Matt, and one was the fighter that he talked about who suffered massively from delusion. And I was like,
Mm,
this, and it could be definitely reapplied. He even borrowed this line from Family Guy: whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I don't have that whole thing in front of me. I didn't even script it. I just kind of did it off the hook, and I felt like I
mm.
nailed it. But it's already fading from memory, so I'm glad I got it right when I got out of bed. um, yeah,
What
you
is it on? I mean, this is a bit relevant. What I have to say.
go ahead.
I'm writing a script for a different video, and I'm actually pulling a quote from the HBO miniseries Chernobyl.
Well, hold it.
Have you seen that yet, Anthony?
I haven't seen it yet, but Lord Ben Maza asked the question. He says, "Wait, Hateful, let me get this straight. Draco is posting Folacon in the server that he's in. I believe the server that we're referring to is Alicor's server. If you look
Correct.
up Alicor on E621 or Derpy Baru or Rule 34 or E Hentai or any place that winds up featuring many of this man's work, at least on, I think Derpy Brew. Yes, someone actually made the remark, "Can you vape straight into the microphone?"
Yeah,
No, I got it.
I can do it directly if you want.
Okay.
I'll do it for you
Yeah,
guys.
I don't know if Draco specifically is posting it in there, but it's certainly in there. Is that not correct, Hateful?
I searched his name, I searched the channel, and every single page had his icon right below some random bit of text and his name. So yes, he did post them.
Okay.
I do plan on collecting them if you want them.
I may include a link to a Google Doc. Speaking of links to Google Docs, the Draco Nine
Ooh,
Blaze video. When I peeked over there, they did add a link later on to the discussion. It appeared to be gone. Now there's a couple reasons for that. Maybe the other person removed it. Maybe that person got blocked by Pete, which is funny. Draco's still not blocked. His comment is still pinned in that video. Good on Orchid for keeping it that way. Um, I don't think there was anything that Draco could have possibly have said in their diminished capacity to talk their way out of that situation. Um,
I do know they've been in the server a little bit before Pete did the video on them, so it may or may not be too. It's definitely not like a contradiction to anything Pete has said on his behaviors in other servers, but um, it's not inconsistent. But I don't know if he was in those other servers that Pete mentioned before this. I don't know.
so, but
Uh,
as I understand it, have you looked at what's his name, the guy who got us the latest docs, Norton? Have you seen Norton's freaking latest compilations of Draco's behavior? Correct.
I have not. I told him to keep me posted about anything relevant, and he said he would, and he
Okay.
hasn't.
All right.
I know that what was it that one guy you had on stream, Anthony, who had
Yes.
those logs on Draco? I told him to head your way,
Yeah. I did.
if he believed he had anything legit,
No, there's
and
plenty, and that's where I'm
yeah.
specifically coming at this because
I just know that
as
him and Norden have been in contact.
as
That's as
as
far as I know.
as frustrating as Alicorn's situation is, and again, when I talk about, I do get bloodthirsty and as well as the next person. In Alicor's case, I was hoping to find more because he's being so difficult. Because he's being such a horrendous, uncooperative pain in the ass. It feeds me. It fills me with joy to know that I found that there was more to talk about. So when I do have another video, I can't just don't have to just regurgitate it. I have a reason to go after this person because they've purposely not only been condescending, uncooperative ass. It's just they're like, well, we're not going to do anything unless they do anything on our server. And according to Norton's screenshots, that seems to be the case. That seems to have happened in there. We get to rightfully go, I told you so. So, yeah. Um, I'm trying to think, have I been bitter and petty and vindictive in therapy Rarity's case? I know some of my friends have said no. Um, there have been times where I've questioned. I'm like, maybe I've gone on a little too damn long. But again, Josh wanted to make absolutely sure, and then I kept finding more. So I felt like I wasn't necessarily stretching it out. I was including as much as I could to a point. Right, I think in the middle of one of them, I just was like, I'll get to the rest later. I
Again, that info I got, Anthony, was like a stroke of luck. If I'm going to be honest, it's the same way with that one pedophile Leo covered that I helped him get information on. It's like I literally went to his fucking YouTube, found it was under a different name, looked up that name, and found a Deviant Art with a name.
so, but in Deco's case about the no map thing, um,
Sure.
I've definitely offered. What's this guy say? When you say "I told you so," do you also do the interpretive dance? No, no, I don't dance. Um, I'm prepared to just if Draco were willing to, or not Deku was willing to drop his map nonsense, I'd probably keep an eye on him, but I wouldn't like cover him anymore. I mean, he's a dumb kid. Maybe he's misunderstanding teenage years, or maybe he really is legitly interested in like people who are 10 or 8 or whatever the fuck. So somebody online, someone on Twitter, which here I'll blank the screen, and I'm doing this because I sometimes crap on Twitter isn't YouTube safe, and I'm just not gonna gamble. Fuck. Where is it? Son of a bitch. Where is the screen brink thing? Fucking hell. No. I might not be able to right now because I haven't. I finally got my old computer back and not everything's set up as it. Oh, here we are. Scenes, I think. No.
Oh, okay. Did you post this in Limbo a while back, or
What Twitter? For
I don't know, a link or whatever to whatever you're referring to?
let me see.
Is it that you can't find it, or it's not popping up when you
Well,
click
okay.
on
All
it?
right, all right. So I need to blank my screen on OBS. What do I go to? Because it's not set up the way I need it to be.
What is it? Do you see the was it the screen capture tab or whatever?
Uh
There's this. You go to, I believe it's scenes, and it has a list of your recording layers, and one of them should have
oh,
the
layers. That's what I'm looking
screens.
for. Yeah.
Yeah,
View.
screen capture, or keyframe capture. Just go to the iTick and just click on it, and it'll disappear.
I'm. I know what you're talking about, and I was looking for it a second ago, but I'm not
Hmm.
seeing it. You know what? I'll just screen share. We've slowed down and completely sabotaged the stream. At least it's not the audio fucking up here, and the visuals are usually good. So what do I go to on this?
Uh, Click out of that. Like you have the is that the window open?
Yeah, that's the whole OBS.
Um, where's your scenes list?
I know.
Like it,
Oh, is it scene collection? Is that it?
yeah. Go to input export.
Okay, that's not it.
Is
Gotta.
this like the default setup you had when you installed OBS?
Well, no, this is what I had when I got the computer back.
Hmm. Go to view real quick.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, that's not it. Uh,
well, I couldn't see the list of things that was on view.
view. Um, toolbars.
Yeah, toolbars.
I I
It's
I want
really
to. Yeah,
tiny.
let me get out of this. That's driving me nuts. Fucking. Uh, yeah. List box. That's not it. Stats. Multi. I, I don't know. I'm pretty retarded. Jesus. Does anybody in the chat know what the fuck I'm missing here?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, holy crap. This is embarrassing. Where's Brony Inspector? Captioned. Scripts. Fuck.
Go to file real quick.
Yeah, it's probably show recordings, remix recordings, settings. Show settings folder. Um,
Here, I'm gonna go to the chat real quick.
yeah. Wow.
See if they have anything.
All right. You know what? I'm just gonna gamble. That always ends well.
Do you have the link? I can go ahead and check.
Here we go. There's Deku. Yeah, I'll give you Deku's bullshit. Copy link
Oh,
location.
it's literally his Twitter. From what I saw, I didn't see anything bad. Let me check.
All right. Let me take a look.
Is there something specific you wanted to pull up, or you just wanted to show his profile?
Well, yeah, I was waiting to we could talk about some of the comments he's had here.
I know I've retweeted some of them.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? Okay.
All right. So for the record here, just to give our boy
I'm
all.
scrolling down. I
Yeah.
don't I don't
I
see
don't I don't
anything
think any kids can.
inappropriate
Yeah.
sexual.
He winds up making a remark. He's a no map. I don't think kids can consent. I am against abusing children. I am a non-offending map. That means I haven't harmed children. And I have been looking. Nor have I looked at child pornography, is what he says. Okay.
Mhm.
I literally have a boyfriend that's my age, but go off, I guess. If you have a boyfriend your age, why are you identifying as a no map? Like again, it's one of those things I have to ask about here. Um, I'm going to try and do this very delicately. For LGBT, I'm assuming a lot of the argument is that you have the right to be attracted to who you want, and that's fine as long as they're not children and animals. We've
Mhm.
civilized society for the most part has agreed with that, by and large, um, and the part of the concern here is in the map community. They're like, oh, we deserve our break too, but this guy clearly seems to understand heading down, south of a certain age is inappropriate, and he's even found an alternative, a healthy alternative, as I believe he said his boyfriend's age was about the same as his. I've talked to him briefly in DMs. I've tried to actually get him on stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I even downloaded Clownfish and showed him how to fucking use it, and or said I was prepared to, and he's like, "Oh, I'm concerned about my friends and family finding out about it." Um, it, Jesus. Here's an idea. If you have something that you don't have to do, it's harmful to you on a public friends and family level, and you don't have to do it, is a crazy idea. Don't do it. This isn't complicated. The medical community came up with these terms. Um, Maps way too proud with the pedophilia community that they are. No, the medical community didn't come up with minor attracted. Um, Depending on who you ask, it was either Tumblr or it was Poll doing a gay op. It's one of the two. But no, the
Mm.
medical community, unless you're trying to say that Tumblr, which thinks it's the medical community, came up with it. You were full of shit, sir.
I just know from a medical perspective, it was once classified as an orientation. It is no longer an orientation.
Okay.
That's it. I know it was some kind of paraphilia. That's it.
It isn't against. Lead to children, sex, being attracted to minors. Well, that's Jesus.
Actually, I think that would be a more um, accurate label for pedophilic disorder, Anthony.
Which is?
Or I don't even think it's disorder. Paraphilia, which is basically the definition is a condition characterized by abnormal sexual desires, typically involving extreme or dangerous activities. I definitely classify wanting to have a relationship with a child in this day and age as a very dangerous activity.
Yes. Like 80% of maps are non-offending. Just pulling the statistics out of his ass. What does he think he is, L from Death Note? You're painting them all as rapists. Oh, heavens forbid. If you could show me case law of people losing torts about defamation by calling a pedophile a rapist, we will stop doing it. At least the ones of us who don't want to get sued. But considering that slander or libel and defamation are damages to good name, which you all do not have, I like them odds. The flag doesn't mean that they're proud of being pedos. It means they're proud of being non-offending in society. Um, wouldn't that make you everybody else? Yeah?
Yeah, the thing is you don't have to be a minor attracted person to be a danger to children. Like everyone has the capacity to do bad things. It's fucking kindergarten level logic.
Well, it's this remark here where he's like, or this says here that you're proud of not molesting kids. You're not supposed to. That's so basic. Holy shit.
What is it? If you said I think you said that one time. You come from a line of alcoholics, and you're proud of the fact that you haven't drank a drop of alcohol. Was that something you said once, Anthony?
Maybe. Why?
Oh, okay.
Was that the whole thing? Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Well, yeah, no, it's like a comparison. It's like I have this problem. It astounds me, Anthony. Like even how this is biological genetic shit where you're passing on a preference, sexual preference to a certain category of people, and yet in this day and age, it has, I believe, according to the DSM-5, a 1.4% global population prevalence, which means there's over 100,000 people in the world who are pedophiles, or at least within that category of people attracted to individuals under the age of consent.
okay.
But that was 5 years ago, so I don't know if the numbers have changed.
Jeez. Just looking in. Hi, Kayla. Is a world made of pedophiles to normalize pedophilia. So we're getting the ignore how the term was made by a mental health professional. No! No map was not made by a mental health professional. It was made by Tumblr, either on their own or influenced by Paul. You are full of crap, Deco. You are completely full of shit. I am proud of being alive. You low expectation motherfucker. If you just got out of the hospital, you could be proud of being alive. You need to get some higher expectations, son. Holy shit. Let's see. You might as well say I'm proud I rolled out of bed and turned on my computer.
Yeah, again, it's like you read these pinned tweets, Anthony. He made this like a day ago, and he's been on Twitter for about 2 months now because
Yeah.
it says that he made this account in August of this year. And he just now put these pinned comments. I'd have to go through the entirety of his thread to see if there's any contradictions with the major one for me is he's saying, "Oh, I've actively gotten help. I'm non-contact. I'm still a person who identifies as someone attracted to children, even though I may or may not be a child myself. Like, what the fuck?"
Let's do with this is just a crazy bullshit theory, which I may or may not believe. You've watched South
Okay.
Park from time to time, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Did
I
you ever
actually started watching the old shit.
did you ever see the one where Eric Cartman induces himself into a coma, and Benjamin Franklin explains to him the difference between the left and the right, and basically the pussies are there, the liberals are there, so everybody doesn't want to hate and kill us, and the right is there to help protect us because if we were pussies, everybody would roll over us. I think that's
Hmm.
I think that's the no map hustle. I think that that's what they're trying to pull. I think the no maps want to be the pussy liberals, and the other ones want to be like the badasses. It's basically carrot stick. Well, you better agree with us because it says, oh, no maps are pedophiles, and they're trying to fucking normalize this. It's a good thing we're here. Well, no, we don't need you. We don't need you to stop them. Quite frankly, if every map was fucking an advocate for touch, that'd be so much easier to fucking round you all up. That would
Yeah.
make our job so much easier. It. What are you talking about? You think you're helping? Maybe yourself.
Right. Well, it's like I said before. It's like the term map isn't just inclusive to pedophiles. It's also, uh, it also consists of hebephiles, aerobophiles, people that are still, attracted to people under roughly. I'm not 100% sure about aerobophiles because apparently that falls within the 17 to 19 category. Um, Again, I say that medical definition is kind of weird because when I went through the DSM-5, when I hear the term you're attracted to prepubescent children and the age range is, around the range when they're beginning to develop sexual maturity, I'm like, that's not what prepubescent means, though. When I think of prepubescent, I think of like 6 to 8 years old. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he does make this tweet where he says, MAP doesn't mean just pedophile. It means these two other things. I'm like, that doesn't make anything better. How does that make anything better?
I I don't have the
I
time
mean,
to.
I guess it gives some distinction, I guess. I'll give the guy credit where credit's due. He's not generally broad stroking. He's trying to make some attempts at some points to clarify things. I'll be like, okay, I'm still not down for this whole people should be more accepting of maps and not so judgmental of maps. It's like, personally, it's like if you're not molesting a child, good for you. You're just like everybody
Okay,
fucking else who has a normal
like
brain.
I'm not saying that there aren't subcategories of like things. Obviously, there are subcategories of Muslims. There are off branches of Christianity. Um,
Hmm.
there are different kinds of smokers. There are people who vape and people who do camels and so forth and
Hello.
so on. Yeah, mental. But my whole point is, if you don't like that whole thing as an entirety, I'm not obligated to take the time to splice and dice and put you people. That's a symbol of respect that normalizes and puts you in with regular people that I might respect. I might bother to learn the difference between a Sunni and a Shiite. I might learn the difference between Marlboro and Camels.
Hmm.
I don't care that you're a hebephile or that you're a pedophile, and go get on the bus. The
Hmm.
minute that
Semantics are
yeah,
semantics.
the minute that wall goes up, and if those ice containment, those concentration camps are still around, if we could put y'all in there, I'd feel that much better. You could be sleeping on some plastic bag makeshift bed or whatever the fuck they have over there. I'd feel great. And maybe that could happen still. Maybe our current president, or maybe we'll have what's the VP? I
Uh, I
I
don't know.
Pence. Pence. Pence could be his legacy, is setting up a no map or a map containment fucking goddamn camp. We could put it in San Francisco. We could put it in Guantanamo Bay, where you guys can.
Honestly, I don't think even the liberals would have problems with that. I'd be
Oh,
very surprised if the majority of liberals and on the political arena would be like, this is bad. I'd say if we were to theoretically make these camps, Anthony, I'd say it's either more internment or uh, you know what prison is.
yeah.
We try to make them productive members of society.
No,
I'm not saying that
I
if you're a Mac, you're not a productive member of society. It's just that you just have an attraction that people will be uneasy. Like it's what you always say, Anthony. It's like if you're a pedophile, do you want this guy around your kids?
no.
Like fucking no,
I don't want him in my neighborhood. Period. I want him as
no.
far away from me as humanly possible, and it's completely normal and accepting to do that. And I'm going to fight.
Rehabilitate.
Yeah,
There we go.
I'm
Rehabilitate.
I'm going to fight to have the right to still demonize this people and not let them be accepted. And Deku, the big problem is that you would like that to stop, no matter how little or how small. And I think that you'd feel more comfortable if it were more acceptance in the other way around. I think if you were able to wiggle your way in the door, if like no maps were completely accepted, you probably wouldn't say shit about the ones that were more touchy feely. I think you're trying to fucking look good. Oh look, look, a pedophile likes Bernie Sanders. I don't even have to say anything. um, y'all were
Mm.
abusing the message request privileges, so now you're grounded from them. Lol. Yes, of course. What have you?
Does anyone in the chat have any questions or
Yeah,
concerns about what we've been talking about? Anything that needs to be clarified?
yeah. But to get on this, just to get on, you were making that we can't necessarily crawl inside of therapy rarity's mind. Um, he said he literally went to a rave, which I forget who pointed it out and said, wait a minute, there are raves at BronyCon, and there's proof that he's gone, or at least him talking about going to them before. Um, if he's been willing to physically accost what may have been an adult woman, why am I going to give him the benefit of the doubt?
Oh yeah, no, and that's an instance of actions, Anthony.
Yeah,
Like you said, if you're unprovokedly making this statement nonchalantly, I'd say yeah, fuck you. I'm talking more on the surface level thing of him being a map. It's like, well, uh, I'm not going to stop anyone from demonizing somebody based on their intentions and perceptions about someone who has a certain attraction. I will go out of my way to provide clarity. That's as far as I'm going to go because outside of that I don't really have any investment, and that's why I made that previous comparison before. Is I'm saying it's a matter of actions versus intentions, and how we're able to come forward, collect necessary evidence, and then come to a reasonable conclusion. And then, as you said before at the beginning of the stream, invite these people over, explain themselves, and in the rare cases of circumstance, it's like what I was trying to tell you before a little while back. It's like if you were to come to me, Anthony, and tell me we have evidence that you were sexting or ERPing with a minor, I definitely tell you the first thing I'd say is show me the VPN. Show me the VPN number, and I'll compare it with my own on Discord and show you that this isn't the same account. The second thing I do is a timestamp thing, maybe to provide some context. Um, I think that would be more of an alibi case where it's like I'd have to have been in a call or talking with someone, but even then, that's circumstantial. I'd say the best case is I don't know, let me know who this is, have them DM me, and if it shows up, or like even give me their profile name and their user number, and I'll search it up, and if nothing comes up, it means I in this account haven't been interacting with this person. That would be my best attempt at providing reasonable doubt and providing that I didn't do this thing. I'd still say I'd go the extra mile and go to the police and have them look at my computer, but I don't know. Would that be sufficient enough for you, Anthony, to prove that I didn't do those
well,
things?
as for going to the police to look at your computer, as someone who's actually been at the police and said, well, we could take your phone, and I went to go hand it off, all smug like, because there wasn't anything on it. They
Mm-hmm.
said sending that into the FBI would take like $10,000 or some obscene amount. So
Mm-hmm.
I do mean to get back to my alternative on handling that situation, and why you guys thought that might have been a little low. Anything that causes a penalty that discourages that behavior could curtail the wave and wave of people basically just getting away with it. Like the worst that happens as of right now is they take some shit in public. It's now, thankfully, these people, barring the maps, and not even that, that's they're willing to take that shit anonymously. Deku, for example, here would probably run away scared if his first and last name, so forth and so on, were to be made public. Yeah, that wasn't thinly veiled. That you could certainly take it that way.
What veil?
Indeed. But no, I have no information, and quite frankly, when he said, I'm worried about being doxxed, my thing to him was like, yeah, here's an idea. Don't give me your fucking address. You'll be fine. I'm I'm not some master hacker. I don't know what you're on about. Like the freaking hell.
I think the simple antithesis to this situation, Anthony, is why would you put your hand on the fucking stove?
Yeah.
It's like why cause yourself problems? It's like I'm not saying don't be a total cuck. Neither am I going to say that he hasn't been handling the criticism with some level of stride. I'm not going to agree with every argument he's made. In fact, I've gone out of my way to say, look, my biggest problem here is that your actions are counterproductive to what you claim you have done for yourself, what you stand for and represent. And instead of, I don't know, if I was in that mind or place, I would advocate for change, or I just wouldn't say I'm a map, you know? Um, that's pretty much it. So I'm saying go half cucked here, basically.
Yeah. I, we're just trying to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't catch on, because it would make this all that much harder. I don't want to have to splice and dice pedophiles, and like in case this person, well, I was in within the legal limit of pedophilia. I don't ever want to have that discussion. I don't. And I think if we don't keep on top of people, that's something that'll happen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case, and I know I've had this conversation before, and I think it's like whenever I make these videos, outing a predator, I go out of my way to explain how I get this information. You do the same thing, obviously,
Mm.
and I hope this is the same way for you. It's both of us, or just anyone who does what we do, implying to our audience, this is the steps you need to take if you have similar evidence and you don't know what to do with it. This is your own means to do it, and you don't even have to make a fucking video. Just make a Twitter post and at one of us. We'll look at it and give it an endorsement. Um, you know, it's not like we're trying to witch hunt anybody. We actually go through the steps to look at this, discuss it, argue over it, and then come to a conclusion. And not all the times do we come out of this discussion agreeing 100% of the time. Is that right or wrong, Anthony?
No, that sounds about right. For example, can I say to an absolute positive 110% certainty that Flufflepuff was dating Bayfish, if I believe Bayfish? And she had no reason to lie to me when she did. She
Right.
certainly confided that in all the worst people. If myself, someone I can't talk about. I believe she confided in Vito that she was telling everybody I'm dating Flufflepuff. She lied about her age.
Yeah,
And
that,
that's
that's
that's the
that's
weird thing
definitely
too. Yeah, when
problematic.
when yeah when Mike talked about it, he's like, "Oh, she misunderstood." So, you did know she was 15. So she only lied to it about Vito. That's interesting there, if that's the
But
case.
then I'd have to pose the question: what do you have to gain from lying to him? I mean, I know that B-Fish is an artist. Flufflepuff is an artist. I mean, he creates artistic content on the Brony community. So there's a mutual beneficial relationship in terms of business and cooperation. Um, I forget how was this brought to the forefront?
Oh, the
Was
bait.
this B-Fish telling Vita this that
Okay,
that what
so
made the story come out, or what
so the
was it?
story that came out is that there's this plucky young gentleman who likes to drink and smoke, and he's in our banner these days.
Oh,
Yes, this
oh,
where
Brony.
Bernie Inspector was like, no one's talking to me, and nobody wants this. What is it? I have accusations about Flufflepuff. I'll take them. And he's like, "Aren't you a little hesitant?" I am hesitant. I'm gonna take a listen to it. I gave it a listen. I was like, and I wasn't like, on one hand, yes, it's a huge story. Hi, Migs. Thanks for the dollar. I I I looked at him like this is gonna go big, but at the same time, I didn't hate Flufflepuff. I loved their content. Like, it was funny. It was fun. And when someone did like a fan farewell to the character, I was like, yeah. I still have, but it's one of those things. I'm never going to condone what Mike did,
No.
allegedly. But I mean, if he goes old and marries Bayfish, I mean, what else am I gonna do at that point? I've suggested the Brony Inspector, where he's like, because he made the remark, he's like, well, just wait till Bayfish starts maturing and she stops acting, immature. And I was like, I think you've got it wrong. He's like, oh, what's your theory? My theory is that she's blackmailing him to stay there. His response was, I didn't know the old Bayfish had it in her. I was like, I do. I absolutely do. Judging from that Mike had popped in and out of that relationship multiple times, that's something that fucking Vita used to tell us. Oh, they broke up again. Oh, they're keeping their relationship very quiet and very secretively, blah, 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 blah. The only way I could see him staying there is if basically she's more or less metaphorically putting a gun to his nuts and saying, hey, I know all the worst people, and I could tell them everything they've been looking for. And I've been recording this shit real time. You're not going anywhere, fat boy. That's just my
Hmm.
theory. Um, if that were true, I mean, I have the smallest violin in the world. Hey, don't date kids. You don't have to worry about that. There's still gonna be bad breakups, but at the end of the day, you'll live and you'll get by them. And I'm speaking from experience. I don't know who I could be talking about, but I wanted to show you what I was talking about here from the
Yeah,
Q&A.
that video.
Yes, paste.
Do
So
you have a
so
specific
everybody,
times?
yeah, no, I
Okay.
don't have the timestamp, but I have an idea of where it shows up. So for everybody in the video, if you guys are easily offended or even moderately offended or oof, this is a rough ride. All right.
Sadism rings, air and
Uh,
manipulator
all right, where was it?
attempts to go back to Telegram under alts were quickly sniffed
No, I
out.
think it was earlier.
It's doubtful we'll ever get a full answer. Pseudonym never explained how they got access to Snake Things accounts, but
So about that, Pseudonym was a group of, from what I remember from hearing from Peppermint Coyote and Farleto, was a group of zoophiles who were so horrified by the zoo sadists that they came forward and spelled out links, and that's why they poofed back off into the distance, because a lot of people who were going after Kiro were going to go after them next. Might be a little bit
while
earlier.
doing research for this video, I've developed a possible theory. Among Snake Things' many fetishes was an interest in blackmail. He liked to play fast and loose with information, sometimes giving out the photos of him with the puppy and his full face, other times giving away damning information on people who trusted him, and other times giving away his full Telegram login information.
Alright, so 519, I'm going to go a little bit earlier here.
He loved to brag and reminisce on this act, and shared some of the photos whenever he got the chance. The more people he told, the more word of his escapades spread, and at some point, Pseudonym learned of this. According to them, to do so, but I looked at her eyes a bit too much. I requested the puppy let off in town somewhere, but I don't know if he actually did it. She wiggled and twitched and yelped and whined on occasion, even through the drugs. I was really nervous about it, but you have reservations, then you slip in and it, well, sort of melts away.
See, that's my interpretation about this. That I think, and I'm sure how do I put this? You're painting a big brush here, but assuming the worst, I think that people like this probably feel a revulsion or a hesitation and shit. Um, if you saw any of Draco's posts from Norden, where he's like, "Oh, I could get
Mm.
myself into a lot of trouble for this" or some shit like that. Um, I think it's just a matter of, okay, I'm doing it now. Nothing's happening to me. Okay, slowly but surely that apprehension is going away. Now, whether that's them worried about getting caught or that's their, maybe there's even some morality that they need to get to fight past. And I'm going to assume that Snake Thing is probably a worse person than these, and he even has like reservations for shit like that. I think that's how a lot of these people are, whether they're doing this
Well,
to kids or animals.
well, it's like I said before on the stream we were talking about Alicor's server. When we were in the DM discussion, I asked, and I think this was before he asked that really ridiculous question. It's like, what is there to gain by removing him? And I mean, I did give him a reason, and whether or not he cares about good PR is
I
irrelevant.
offered
He
ten
asked for
dollars.
something.
I offered
Yeah.
10. I offered 10, and I would have gone 20.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have done that. Fuck that. I'm not giving this guy a dime.
No, I got it
Um,
too. It's just I wanted him to do it, and I would have been like, look, I understand. would I have said something? I mean, eventually, in a dry enough
I
week.
mean, if that's literally the route he was going with that, Anthony, where it's like he's implying that he wanted some kind of monetary compensation for him to do this.
Okay. Here's how I would have made peace with that. I would have talked to him, and eventually maybe buddy, and then maybe I could have got him into a stream, so I could have felt like I got the $10 for getting a podcast out of the guy as opposed to kicking out Draco. You never know.
Mhm.
Maybe it opens up a door. Maybe he helps cooperate somewhere down the future. I would have rather have not had to bump heads with Alacor and gotten things fixed than have to. I just feel that's the way to go.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Uh, Real quick, Meat Salute asked how my day's going. It's up and down. I think I'm a little bit sick with something. That's pretty much it. The point. I mean, yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that if he was asking for a bribe from us or from you, like I said, I don't remember. I'd have to go back in the stream and see where you started throwing money before he asked the question.
I had to do that to get in. I was making a joke and I was
I think
going.
that was like something you did immediately, right?
Yeah, I lowballed the
When
fuck out of him. I said $1, and I was like, I'll
yeah,
pay $1 to get rid of Draco Nightblaze easily. Done. Not even a problem.
I'd do it for free.
Yeah. Well, no, I get that too, and then I might even
Um,
tip you $1 to do it. So there, fucking hell.
well, it's like the other because I told you about this yesterday. I don't want to spoil anything for the chat. Whether or not you want to include that, it was about that comic that he put in his announcements that he finished and is preparing to sell. Um, I'm not really one to judge like the artist's like actual sexual preferences and intentions. I definitely say in the case of when I was talking to you and Brony about Murky Pie, the one that did all that lolicon sort of rape art.
Yeah.
I can't say for certain, just even by the frequency of it, that they have a sexual attraction for kids. I'd say more along the fact that they demonize it. Especially how like visceral and violent the sort of recipient is in those circumstances, Anthony. So I'd
Let's
say it's more of them venting trauma is what I can say, and I don't know if like what Murky's business practices were.
well,
All I'm
well,
saying is that there is a demand when it comes to these artists from their customers, and I'm not one to judge them trying to make a buck from that because there's a
no,
lot of
I don't either. But
money to gain from
yeah,
making and creating pornography.
no, I get what you're.
I won't deny that. I just think that there should be some lines. I know that, you know, when you had Patch on with I believe it was Bad Idea Podcast 8 or 9, and you guys were talking about the feral art you had to make for Lily. It's like, sure, I understand. You were desperate for money. You regret doing it, and that's all perfectly fine. Is there anything?
No, that's
I don't think there was anything wrong with that.
no. There wasn't anything wrong with that. Patch, they're probably going to have brought up. Well, Patch has made it abundantly clear before we bring into that discussion to ask them off. You let it down that way. I wasn't talking shit.
I'm not trying to let them off. I'm just saying
Oh
that
no, like I'm
I'm
just
trying
saying.
to make the distinction between the actions and intentions of the artist. That what they make is not a
No,
reflection of
yeah,
what
no,
their
I get that too.
preferences
But
are.
I heard one of your interpretations, and speaking as someone who's basically been around enough people, just because it's not,
Which case are we talking about?
you were referring to Murky Pie, I believe.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I was trying to butt in there, and I finally got the floor. Just because the intimacy isn't cuddly and passionate, which some people might prefer, don't nobody slander me. Some people, I heard this on Law and Order once. Some people like vanilla, and some people like Rocky Road. And yes, that came out of someone really inappropriate. Some people like the more violent, gory. There's a reason why people call Saw torture porn. Some people like it that way, and
Yeah.
the idea that you're. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist that some people draw certain things as a form of catharsis, But the counter comeback to that is isn't masturbation catharsis?
Um, I could make a simpler statement of that, Anthony. Everything is sex. Everything is cathartic. That's why most cases. What?
I mean, you
What?
can sexualize anything. God, that's a long discussion. I just didn't feel like
I
getting
mean,
into.
honestly, Anthony, I think that's like why most people hate the last fucking Jedi, aside from the lack of consistent logic and good writing. I'm saying that there was a perpetual amount of not very cathartic moments or satisfying moments, and that goes in part with the poor writing. I'm just saying that people usually react more viscerally and emotionally when there is a catharsis to things, when there is a payoff to things. Would you agree? This is a bad segue, but the point I'm saying is just from what I can see, and from what I gathered when looking at Murky Pie, that none of this from the descriptors was commissioned artwork, which means that they made this on their own time, with their own resources, free of charge, for their audience. As far as intentions I goes, I agree that it's ambiguous. From looking at it, I didn't really have the inkling that it was supposed to be glorified. That's kind of why I draw this line when it comes to lolicon. And just on the record, Anthony, I don't think it's healthy for people if they are doing it cathartically, because some people say that catharsism is unhealthy. But that's what's some people say. Uh, it, like I said, ultimately the point is, preferences are not reflective upon what the artist makes. Is basically what I'm saying. I'm just saying that from our conversation with Alcor and him saying that this server is an open space for people of all preferences of all kinds. That's the main reason why I'm not banning Draco. And I'm like, okay, but he's been in here since he was called out by Lily. He's confessed to it. Anthony's given you, documented proof that this has happened. That he said that he admitted doing that.
Yes.
He is just as liable, even like months after the fact, to come forward with evidence that disproves it and just says, "Oh, I was some autistic retard who didn't know what I was saying." That would be fine, and we'd be purely justified to not have to apologize or say we made a mistake because he admitted it. There was evidence.
There've been
Admittedly,
there've
yeah,
been
there's third
third parties.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had no indication or no inkling that Eve was lying. I think that they had a good head on their shoulders.
Yeah.
They were very honest, and I think that they were honestly making the best points in this discussion by playing the neutral party. It's like, look, I respect what you guys are trying to do here, but he's done bad
But
things, and
the
then I
good
brought
news
up to the
is, yeah, the good news
yeah,
is that we can come back to Elocor and say, hey, look,
yeah.
are you going to do? No. Do I think he's going to do anything? No.
No, I don't
Matter of
think.
factly, yeah. No, I'm blindsiding him now. I'm assuming Norden already tried, and if Norden didn't, I mean, hey, you've got time to tell Norden to be like, hey, take it to Alcor. But yeah, I've tried to being polite as I could to this guy. I tried being as patient as possible, which I admit it was late. I was trying to watch the Ralph retort. This guy was being a butthole. I was
Hmm.
trying to be entertained instead, and this guy was just being a jerk off. And when he said, I'm like, look, is there anything that he could have done outside your server that you would have thrown him out for? He said, no, I was done. I know you hung in there for a little bit longer. I don't know, 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes, maybe longer. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I fucking left that group chat. I was
I
like, this is fucking retarded. This is going nowhere.
I stayed in there because he left the whole discussion in there and he left. And I was like, oh, beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. The stream that I included that in was the Glowfox, or which one is that?
It was Glowfall. No, I think it might have been something giraffe because you guys
Fucking
were going to be talking about some other furry.
yeah. 1 second.
Um,
It's deer, fawn. Let me look.
I thought it was something
Cupid
giraffe.
the deer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
which
always the something.
yeah, it's always the something. Goddamn furries. Waiting for Cthulhu kin people. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the day where there's a bunch of Cthulhu fans going, "How dare you besmirch the good name of H.P. Lovecraft?" By the way, what did he call his dog again? Anyways, moving along. Welcome to
My
the
bitch.
yeah. No, it's the N word.
Yeah, but no, I made the point to him in the chat. I was like, "Do you really believe that every single one of the people in your server are of age?" And then I believe that other dude was like, "Well, if that's the case, then that's on them." It's like, yes and no. I mostly lean towards no because you guys can't control who comes in there. It doesn't mean that you guys don't have the means to
Yeah.
uh, get a more necessary clarification. I definitely say that it's on the minor for lying about their age, and it's tread. When the warning comes up, it's basically saying
The
this
gold
is this
standard.
is this is Discord's legal dismissal,
Yeah.
saying you are admitting you are of this age,
The
and that everything that you are going to come across on there is at
yeah.
your own
Now
caution. It's
whether that
basically it's caution.
yeah, whether that legally holds up or not is another story. But yeah, the gold standard we're referring to, or at least the perfect example, is Alacor, or not Alacor. What was the shit server?
Oh, Andrew Dash.
Andrew
I forgot
Dash,
what it was
where
called. I think
basically
it was
we literally
the
had Sheldon.
Scat Ponies.
Yeah, where we had Sheldon pretend to be 14 or 15, and they're like, "Oh no, here's how you get into the adult section," and whether that's the case point for point, where they're like, but there was at least an incident, according to Norton's screenshots, that there was a girl who said she was 16. She said this in the public
Yeah,
server.
I remember. I remember
Nobody,
seeing that.
yeah, nobody said anything other than Draco's like, I don't know, but I think this could get me in some trouble, you know. So he
Yeah,
knows what he's doing is wrong. At least he knows it could. It's certainly, if I put my hand on the stone, it's gonna burn myself here. Looks around, nobody's gonna stop me. Okay, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at Alacor right now. I'm specifically looking at him, going, this is your fault at this point. He's it's bullshit that fucking it almost feels like if you're like, oh, maybe you put him up there, like you could have thrown him out. You could have thrown this asshole out of your fucking server. Holy shit.
yeah. And I mean, I definitely think that aside from that one instance, I mean, I'm sure there's others in there. I definitely say that his server is more safer than Andrew's and a lot less um, damning of their neglect of the terms of service on Discord when it comes to dealing with that sort of thing, Anthony.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more comparable to the Fusion situation and his server when that came out the first time, because it's not his call. I mean, he can do that, but there's consequences for doing that, and that's setting a specific age that is below 18. If you were to set cloppers to 21, I don't know why you would do that. That's fine. You can do that. You can fucking do that.
Well,
um,
I believe Vito,
it's
when we went to go look up age of consent, I think he found one country in the world that it was 22.
um, I think the highest, because like I've looked at map statistics of the global statistics of how many countries have certain ages of consent. I believe the highest was 20 or 21.
Okay.
And there was only a handful of countries that did that. But that's a more national, interstate sort of legality thing. We're talking about the internet, which is a whole other can of worms. Which just from my experience in the eyes of the law
It
isn't
would be funny when you think
as
about it that way, that basically a lot of our porn would be considered child porn somewhere else just because of the age of consent being 20. Oh well.
um, I mean, there are certain. I mean, yeah, in a technical standpoint, I would say that in certain circumstances, the artist's intention is to make the age ambiguous, whether it is, like that whole anime rule that like these kids look like adults, like fucking Sailor Moon when we were talking about in the lolicon debate. It's like these characters look like adults, but they're high school students. You get what I mean?
Or
Um,
the JoJo meme where
yeah, the
characters.
JoJo meme, and I think that Creepy brought up that example of that red haired chick who's 13 from that other anime. I forgot what it was.
Gurren Lagann.
And I was like, well, if you, yeah, Gurren Lagann, if you don't give a shit about the age. I mean, that's still ambiguous. If someone was to tell you that she was a kid and that disgusted you and you didn't want to um, jerk it to that character, good for you. But I believe that the basis of the argument wasn't a matter of age. It was more of a matter of physical qualities that attribute someone to a certain age group,
Yeah.
if you get what I mean.
Well, no, I get
Um,
I get what you mean, because a while ago I was having a discussion with Leo Convoy where I specifically said I just don't care about the age of consent on the younger characters. Um, and he was having it out with somebody, an editor for Faith Meliminis, and I was like, all right, fine, let me go take a look over there. And I was like, oh, these are kids. These are like 5 and 10 and shit. Like, he's like, yeah. When I'm telling him, like, no, this is an extra level of creepy. It's one thing to say I don't care, but you'll always find somebody where like has to go that extra fucking mile. God.
right. I have to leave in 15 minutes.
Oh no, I get you.
I mean, I really want to keep this discussion going. I love this sort of shit. Um, I mean, if I was to make a final point here, it's like this whole discussion that, we've come from point A to point B, and when I mean point A, I mean Toon Critic being ousted to where we are now. Anthony, I think we've made progress. We've had discussion, and I think we've come to a point where, in an established sense, and I mean, I'll make this remark right now. I don't really want to go forward anymore saying that if I was to out a quote pedophile, I won't call him a pedophile. I'll just call him a predator from now on. Just so there's no terminology, confusion. I don't really think that anyone is intentionally confused about the difference between a pedophile or just a minor attracted person and a predator. You don't have to be a map to be a predator. This is why I went back and saying in the beginning, Anthony, that I mean, do you give a shit about the intentions of people that have done shit like Toon or Draco? I mean, you might care about the people that they've
Well, when you
affected, but
say
I'm
intention,
talking about the whole why. Like, if you ask, like, I don't even think you've ever asked, like, why did you do it?
I'm not gonna say I've never asked, because I'm sure that it's probably come up.
Well, sure. And that's what I meant by, like, I'm not saying you don't go out of your way to get the points that need to be made before we can, go on and basically just like rip this guy apart. Like I said before, like Draco.
But the answer
You
always
you
seems to be dark place, bedtime,
Yeah, Dark Place, and like
bedtime.
I made I made that remark, Anthony, a while back, where I was like, I've heard so many cases of these dudes saying I'm in a dark place. I feel like there's a scientific correlation between an absence of light and pedophilia, or just being a sexual degenerate. It's like get some
Let
light,
me give you some
please.
tip, guys. Having a bad day. Go buy yourself a bucket of ice cream. Go buy yourself a fifth of alcohol. Go watch a movie. Go watch an anime. There's all so many things. You're on the internet. You're on the goddamn internet, man. Are you telling me that you've literally played every game in your Steam library? Is there
Hmm.
have you exhausted everything that you've done? If like I don't know, like if you were 100 years old and your mind was rotting away and you'd done every experience in your life, I'm not saying I would take that example or I would take that excuse, but it would hold a lot more than these dipshits are like, I was at a dark place. I'm like, there are other things that you could have literally done. You would have found somebody that would have talked to you, and if you made yourself so insufferable, you could have made a new account and pretended to be someone else, and eventually, after years and years of being online, you may have gotten to a point where your personality, where you got it at least to a surface level where people were able to stomach you. And
Hmm.
you learn that through trial and error. I've been a pain in the ass, and I think I figured out how to do it online, and I think I could probably do it offline. I think part of where I was a bit more pain in the, I think the friends I was around also didn't contribute to that. But dark
Right.
place, that's good enough for like, okay, you were an asshole that day. You said the wrong thing. Hopefully not to somebody underage. Hopefully not in a sexual way.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, the only excuse
Um.
I could go with, you didn't know they were underage, which yeah, as long as you stopped after you were told immediately. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I mean, like I said before, before we started streaming, Anthony, it's like the main reason why I want to make that response video is mostly for the sake of discussion, because I think the point of that video I was telling you about, in my mind, warrants a discussion about should we be judging intentions, besides the actions, and my argument is no.
If
In these cases,
well,
when
I
we out
called
pedophiles.
I called the stream why because hopefully we've caught Deku before he's done anything stupid. So yeah, if you want
Mhm.
to ask why, it's probably before shit's gone wrong. Maybe if we ask these questions, maybe we can get them to maybe ditch that map banner, maybe delete that, maybe start over, maybe completely forget about that as 5 to 6 months of your life where you made a mistake.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not offering that to therapy, Rarity.
right. Yeah, no, you've been kind enough to offer that invitation to them multiple times, and as much as they want to say my decision to not be a map anymore had nothing to do with you, I call
I think it
bullshit
had everything.
wholeheartedly.
I think it had everything to do with their roleplay drying up.
Yeah, and um, but ultimately the point is that the difference between what I call predators, people of age going after people that aren't on the internet, and I'm saying everyone and anyone below the age of 18. Um, Small age difference may be a bit ambiguous, but when I make the argument in the case of Fusion, it's like he's from the UK, and this was early on when we weren't really 100% sure of the accountability, the legalities of things. Even then, I'd say we're not 100% sure either, right or wrong. Anthony.
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know what you
Oh,
wanted me to
okay.
say.
No, I was asking, back then, like, I believe, during the foul stream, he was the third or fourth pedophile that was out in the community. When I'm referring to Fusion, because, the similarity between him and Fowl is that they're both from the UK, and, there's this ambiguous point about age difference, age of consent, legalities, moralities to it, whatnot. I mean, my argument, I'm not saying that anyone on that stream that day or time was wrong for saying that this doesn't seem legit enough. It's definitely uh, weird as fuck. And I won't deny that it was a simple mistakes are made. I won't. I'll totally agree with Leo and say you have to be some kind of retarded to make a sexual joke to a minor. But the point I'm ultimately trying to say here, Anthony, is Fusion lives in a country where he's had 3 years to be what is considered an adult. I know that doesn't seem like much as compared to if he was in the U.S., he'd have like a year to, to be an adult,
All right, hold
to
it,
understand what that means.
hold it. Would you?
Okay.
You remember being 16, maybe?
Yeah, no, I remember being
No, I
16.
understand legally, but you're not really an adult. There's a
No,
lot of
I
stupidity at
like
16.
honestly to me, I think an adult, like even starting out, and I mean no way legally, I mean like mentally developed, under an understanding of love and sex and relationships, I'd say 2021. But even in my case, I wouldn't even go for a woman that age. I'd go for someone that's around my age, which is 23, 24. Um, and I don't do it online. I like to meet people face to face, not voice chat. The voice chatter, cringy woo chat, role play, whatever bullshit. Um, but ultimately, my point is that Fusion, should have known better, is what I'm saying, because
He
he's
did.
been an adult for 3 years, and he's been on the online longer than that. I mean, I don't think that's an unsafe assumption to assume that he's been on the internet for a while and he should know how things work on there,
Well, there.
especially when it comes to dangerous. Like I'm gonna say it, people would undermine me or think you're making a big deal out of something
You know,
small like
I wanted to get to
putting
this.
explicit
You,
Okay.
you you mentioned foul, and you're like, oh, dark place. Um, I would have. loved. Well, no, that would have drove me into the fucking orbit where you're like, I'm in a dark place, bitch. Everybody liked you. At least all the wrong people liked you. But you made us look terrible. Everybody was prepared to talk to you. Everybody was prepared to hang out with you. You were given every multiple chances of you being a dipshit, and we bent over backwards to be cool with you, and then you still did that shit. You did it to about 3 girls at about the same goddamn time. Um, there was just no way of walking that back. As for dropping the ball on Fusion, I was still just sort of dealing with the foul thing. Someone else should have fucking stepped up on that after I fucking made the first thing about it. I did do one more follow up on foul, and then I had to fucking, I was already fending off some other dipshit at the time, so I was fending off. Yeah.
No, and there's a I did finish writing, like I told you, months back. It's just I've been busy with school, and
It's not urgent.
had that.
It's not urgent at all, man.
It's not urgent at all. I'm not doing it like this is a public service announcement. This is me talking about something and making a discussion about it. That's mostly why I make these videos. I mean, I'd say aside from the Meloetta video, that was purely mockery, built upon evidence of making an entertaining story, which I'm glad that you found entertaining aside from the audio, the audio problems on that end. And I definitely include, there was a lot of shit going on in that stream, just aside from the fact that you were just told that someone that you were close or friends with,
he'd been distant recently, but we'd talked to Foul plenty of times where there were enough people.
You guys have history. You guys, like you and Vita, have history. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You guys having a relationship, an established idea of, or at least a somewhat general idea of your likes, dislikes, who you are as a person. Is that any too far out of reach?
No,
assumption to make, Anthony.
That sounds fair. Yeah, we were definitely boys with Foul.
Yeah, and ultimately the point is that there were 2 big events. I'd say during the year of 2018 to 2019, before Fusion was outed, that definitely diverted attention. And I'd say the first instance was Vita calling you out as a pedophile, and the second one was the Minhart GoFundMe. I'm going to be honest, I tip my hat off for you doing that stream on Foul and kind of Fusion.
If you want to address this, I'll say what I've said before about that. I specifically talked to Minthart because I wanted to see the credibility of the situation.
I'm just.
I was expecting to see it fall fucking flat on its face, and in that stream, there was a moment where basically Minthart, I love you guys, and just I could grab that clip if I really needed to, where I kind of give a deep sigh. I was like, okay, I wasn't. I wasn't entirely on board, but I didn't want to look like an asshole. I was looking for an out to not be involved in that situation, and the longer that went on, the situation got a little bit, it got muddied. There, we'll call it that. And I've talked to Mint. I've cleared things up fine. It's. I felt that I've handled it since then. To properly fucking pancake Vita, I'd have to fucking goddamn roll over Minthart right now. And isn't that fucking convenient? But I've made my point.
No, I'm not asking to roll over anyone. I'm just saying
isn't his favorite shield always there when he needs it? But let's move on.
But I guess I'll just skip ahead and make my ultimate point here. I'm saying in terms of a case of actions versus intentions, predators. I'm not saying it's clearly cut and dry. We have to take the steps to gather the evidence and. When we have enough, and when I went to you about what was his name, Blue Ranger Lyric, and I had to show you everything, show you the evidence, the confession, and you went ahead and did the stream on it, and we obviously gave him an open invitation, which he didn't take up on. It's like, okay, I mean. Regardless of a confession, I'd still say that.
That's the one we fucked up on, kind of, right?
No, that was the other guy. That was the one that the other person that Raven had brought in. I know on that stream, it wasn't Meloetta. It was the guy that Leo covered. that I told you about a little early on in the stream, that I gave the evidence to. Uh, Again, I said that's a hell of a case of luck to get that deviant art. I'd call it thinking outside the box, but it's like looking at a fucking name on a URL tab,
Well,
and I just was like, let's see if anything comes from this,
well,
and obviously there was.
before we get on another fucking tangent, I'm assuming you've got what, probably 2 minutes left.
Um, yeah, I got like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So, to finish it off, in the case of maps, it's definitely, on the surface level, it is an intentions things. I am not going to fight someone, who is disgusted by someone who will, casually come out as a map. I obviously will have my reservations, my doubts, and think that they're a fucking retard for doing that because why put your hand on the stove? It's like you're not being brave, you're not being bold. The difference between like the trans and the queer society is that at one point, society may have looked at homosexuals as some kind of mental disorder, mentally ill, and cases
You're all
of
right.
people.
Here's the problem with that, Hateful. You opened up an interesting question there, and you don't have a lot of time to discuss it. So let me hit you back with that one. Let's say
Okay,
LGBT was just LGBT. Let's say that transgender wasn't on the fucking banner. Would
right.
you, as an individual, without the backing of the mainstream, go out of your way to extend your understanding to trans people if it wasn't the way things were now? Like it wasn't popular. See, that's
Well,
why I'm
I'd
taking
first.
issue with you popping in here. We've got like 2 to 3 minutes, and that's a
Sure.
long discussion. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I can make it simple real quick, Anthony. First, I'll admit I don't have a high level understanding of every aspect of the LGBT community. I'm only familiar with the fact that they are, they're a collective of people who, by association, from the perceptions of society, was looked at as taboo, as odd.
yeah.
And that is a perfectly human reaction to things that are strange, things that, like don't make sense on how it exists and how it's at all prevalent. Um, so it's kind of the same with maps. The difference of the problem is the thing about homosexuality at that time was the AIDS panic. And when then it was proven that it wasn't scientifically a correlation, I'd still say that the stigma was lowered. I'm not saying that things have been easier for queers. I'm saying that the problem is that in our day and age, the reason why pedophilia is so problematic is because on a moral level, people don't want children to get hurt or abused, especially sexually. Um, and just the thought that you're trying to come out for acceptance and respect for people associated with that group when you're trying to say that I am taking responsible steps to improve my life is contradicted. It's asinine. Um, but I won't go as far to demonize them until there's legitimate proof based on their actions to condemn them for
Okay.
that.
Well, again, we don't have that much time left. I probably respectfully disagree. I'm not a big fan of the whole map thing. Many of the people that I'm,
I'm not.
yeah, no, and
Did I say I was?
no, no. Well, you know, I think you're suggesting that no map is low priority, and I don't want to quite say that. Um,
I'll make it distinctively clear. I am. I think I said it at the beginning. I don't know what no map and non-contact fully entails,
I don't
and
trust
that's
it.
a
Oh, there
different
it is.
discussion.
Sources popped up right now. Fuck you, OBS, you cunt.
Oh, now it popped up.
There, that's beautiful. Fuck you,
Okay.
OBS. Yeah, let's.
Yeah, it's screen capture right there. I think it's the one on the top. If
Yeah,
you
I get.
just click the eye, it'll turn off.
No, I get it. So yeah, let's call time of death so you can get to class. And
Yeah.
Godspeed. Where the fuck is it?